and welcome to the B side, where we discuss things about Bond that aren't the movies. And today's topic will be Connery's main villains. So the big baddies from each of the Connery movies. We're going to rank them 1 through 5, and yes, you're thinking there's 6 movies, but Blofeld is the main baddie in multiple movies. So there's only 5 of them to rank today. And so we're going to do our best to rank them 1 through 5, 1 being the best or most bad, however you want to put it, and 5 being the worst villain. So before we really get into the nitty gritty, do we want to start at 1 or start at 5, guys? Where do you think we want to start? Which end?
I say the best way to do a countdown is always to work from worst to best.
Okay, I feel you. So let's start at 5. Let's see if we can decide, gentlemen, who is the worst main bad guy from the Connery movies. If we're choosing from Blofeld, Goldfinger, Rosa Klebb, Largo, and Dr. No. Does anybody have a strong opinion on who the worst is?
I don't have a super strong opinion on it, but I guess, upon initial inspection, I'd have to go with Largo.
Ooh.
I was going to say Largo.
Well, I liked Largo.
Yeah. No particular dislike for him. I just didn't think that he was that compelling of a character. And there was nothing, aside from an eye patch, particularly interesting about him. Didn't dislike him, but he's just kind of there.
You didn't think his plan was pretty sweet?
His plan was it stole a nuke.
He stole the plane with the nukes on it, had it land underwater.
Oh, that plan's shit. No, it was a good plan.
Yeah,
I thought he was fine.
It was very elaborate too, because he had the guy have the face surgery to match the
It was
pilot.
definitely one of the more elaborate ones that we've seen up to that point, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, even that movie in general and everything, the largest budget still. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think
I don't
that
know,
he
but like I said, as a character, yeah, as him himself and all that, like, he had a couple back and forths with Bond, but
Yeah, because Bond's dating his niece.
yeah. Well, like I said, and even like the back and forth they had when they're shooting trap and stuff like that, but I just don't remember him when I think of that movie. Like,
Who do you remember?
well, really, I really think of like Bond himself, the location.
Of course, Bond.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I think of the shark more than I think of him and everything. I think of him swimming in the tank in Largo's place and all that. Or like you said, I think of the surgery, the pilot. I think the plan more than I do the villain.
I know who I think of. I think of Fiona.
Fiona's hot.
Fiona is hot.
Ray, what do you think of
It's a
Largo?
different. It's a different ranking system.
Yeah.
He had a good plan.
Mhm.
It was decent. But I don't know. I don't know if he should be 5.
You know who he kind of I liken him to from a movie that we've seen more recently? He's kind of Stromberg. Whereas he's just kind of there. He's okay. Nothing wrong with him. But
Like I said, he's an effective leader. Like I see that he obviously is leading all these people. He has the plan and all that. But him himself as a character, like I don't know. For such an elaborate plan, there's not a lot of development of him.
maybe
Or
if
I
he
guess-
had like a peg leg or something,
A peg leg. Is he a pirate?
I would definitely remember him more then.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
let's be honest. It'd be
Arr, I'm
some
gonna
type of
get you,
weapon.
Bond.
Yeah, like,
yeah, I need more pirate.
All right, well, Ray, you mentioned you didn't think he should be 5, so who do you think should be 5?
Maybe Rosa Klebb?
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, Rosa's plan didn't really work, but as a character, she's interesting.
She
Yeah,
is
she got
interesting.
a different dynamic than the other movies had.
Just even her physical appearance. I mean, being a woman, being very small,
Kind of being
gave her some
older.
interest. And it's been a while again since I've seen this, but I mean, she was in charge for this movie, but she was working under Blofeld for Spectre. So there's like a fear about it. Like she had to be fearful that she would screw it up.
Well, a lot of these characters are working for Blofeld.
Yeah.
Dr. No's working for Blofeld. Largo's working for Blofeld.
I think that made her more interesting,
Mm-hmm.
But that's my
But I
take
think
on
that's
it.
also what takes away from Largo for me, to where like you're still not the guy.
Right, but he's the guy for the sake of that film.
Yeah,
The same
I
with
mean,
Kleb.
like I said, for the sake of the film and all, but like I said, just I don't know, he just doesn't seem as menacing as an individual.
Right.
I
And
guess.
he's definitely, to my mind, less interesting than Kleb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where do you stand then, Holtz?
I don't know. I was sitting here looking at it and being like, they all have something,
Yeah.
where I'm like, they all have some quality that I'm like, I like that. And then they all have some qualities where I'm like, eh.
Maybe as part of our discussion of where they rank, we need to discuss how they die. If they die.
Well, Largo gets shot with a harpoon.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly great demise. It was all right. And I don't even think
But-
Bond shot him.
No, the woman
Yeah,
does.
but it was for revenge, so that's why she did it. and all
Yeah.
that. Like so, it's like I get that, and I even get the whole harpoon because, like I said, they were everywhere. Like,
Right.
and it's a very Aqua episode.
Who,
Like,
who remind me of the woman who shot
It's the niece
poor Largo?
because she found out that Largo killed her brother.
yeah, because he was the one originally with the face and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, not a great death. It was all right, but not great.
No.
And
Definitely
Kleb's Bond did have to off her at the end, right?
No, the woman did again.
Oh, that's
The
right.
girl,
She was trying to kick people.
Yes.
With
With
her,
the
yes,
poison,
which
yeah.
was
What
at
is
least
it?
fun.
What is her name? The Bond girl from that episode, or from that show? Romanova or
Yeah, you're right.
Romanova? Yeah, Romanova. That's her name.
I don't
Romanova.
remember her first name. But
Romanova.
around
Something
it,
like
yeah.
that. But yeah, she
I mean, it was such a
killed
bleak
Kleb.
movie, I can't recall.
Dr. No actually is killed by Bond.
But once
Yes.
again, that was the irony of it and everything, like the hands and everything. So I liked that death. It was
It was very
Funny.
quick.
yeah.
What
Like
hap-
Dr. No had only a few minutes of screen time, it seemed, came on in the end, and then he kind of got punked out pretty quickly by Bond, but a very cool and interesting character nonetheless.
How did Goldfinger go out?
He was sucked out of a plane, I believe.
You're right. He
He
was.
came back and was like dressed up and everything.
Yep, you're right. He was sucked out of a plane, which is a pretty epic way to go, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Blofeld, I guess since we're running all these down, didn't meet his demise during the Connery run.
No, he did not.
Correct.
You think he did a couple times, but he did not.
Yeah.
So credit to him for that, I suppose.
Yes.
So I mean that kind of covers the deaths or non-deaths of those characters.
All right, guys.
I'm
I
still saying Largo.
I think you've convinced me. I think Largo would be 5. Are you cool with that, Ray?
Yeah, we can go along with that.
All right. So Largo is 5. So who do we go at 4 then? Who's next? And I think I'm gonna have to go with Dr. No here because of some of the reasons Barry said. First off,
But we got
he doesn't get very much screen time, so there's kind of like this. He doesn't do a whole lot. Secondly, he's partially unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just something along those lines.
See, I thought Dr. No got plenty of screen time.
We never saw him until like the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, and then like we seen him. He talked to Bond. He even tried recruiting him.
He did
like,
try and recruit Bond,
he
yes.
wined him, dined him, and even so, he was very menacing. And like when he brought, like when the henchman came, and was like, "Oh, I came to warn you." It was like, "You came to warn me," like, and he had the whole like just pure intimidation and all that. Like, I liked his character and I liked the fact that we didn't see him because. It's almost like how in Jaws you didn't see the shark until it pops up and everything, but you know it's there and all that. There is danger, and he has so much control over everything.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I guess. I don't find Dr. No scary.
I'll mention this.
Well, if he
and-
would have used the hands more, I feel like that's like that was just like I said. The fight scene was anticlimactic, but the
Yeah.
build-up was great.
The build-up was great. I agree with your idea about the unseen, the unknown. That did lend itself well to the movie. I guess for what it's worth, Dr. No did kind of, he's the first villain, of course, so there's some value in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also kind of set the standard with this kind of funny notion of like, well, I'm not just going to kill Bond, I'm going to have him for dinner. and I'm going to wine and dine him, and I'm going to make sure to tell him everything that I'm doing and all of those things, you know?
But correct me if I'm wrong, he's the only one to try and recruit Bond, correct?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool too.
Yeah.
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 So, personally,
But I feel
not
like
that
it speaks
I
to
would
foresight.
I would be agreeable with putting him, you know, right under Largo at 4. Personally, I'd put Rosa Klebb there
I was gonna
just
go,
because I think Dr. No's more memorable.
that's right. I was gonna go Rosa.
I don't know. Klebb, if we're talking about memorable, Klebb is somebody I remember from my childhood. Dr. No,
But why do
like-
you remember her?
because she's loud and she's like, I don't know, obnoxious almost with her loudness, and like she's in your face and like the barking and things like that. That it was, I don't know. I remember her. Like I can hear her voice in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Until we rewatched
Struck a childhood nerve there, I guess.
until we rewatched Dr. No, I couldn't even tell you what Dr. No looked like.
Right. Yep.
Ray, what do you, because it seems like for number 4, we're either going to go with Dr. No or Rosa. What do you think, Ray?
I feel like Rose is the more memorable character for me, I guess. But Dr. No had the more meticulous plan. It was more like a puppet master type of thing going on.
Mm.
But what kills me is how he died. But then you also have to look at Rosa, the way she died by a Bond girl. So I
That's
mean,
true.
who's a more serious character?
Well, and
Whether
once
Dr.
again-
No or whether
And
Rosa?
I feel like No set that standard of almost whatever is iconic about the main villain is kind of the weakness in how they die.
Yeah.
It sets that tone for the future
Mhm.
films as well. Like it's a note that you see echoed throughout Bond movies and all. Whereas like you said, I guess you see like the Bond girl kill villains here and there as well. But I don't know. I'd rather see her as 4 and then No as 3 if I had to split hairs between them.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I
It
feel.
is splitting hairs to a large degree. That's my preference. However, my preference doesn't matter wherever you guys land.
That's fine. I can go that way. Like you said. I mean, is there a huge difference there? I don't think so.
No, not
Well,
really.
yeah, like and once I just think No had more of a grasp, not no pun intended, of, it's like, of what he was doing and everything. Because even like I said, Coral was having to like break that girl's arm in the restaurant and everything. He had spies everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
he knew what was going on before his henchmen even came, and he was even irritated that they came to his island. Like you're never supposed to come here and all that. Like take this spider and now go try to kill Bond with it. Like just like it's almost like he's setting his own henchmen up for failure because it's so ridiculous. Like
He also didn't even let his henchmen lay eyes on him.
yeah.
Like I'm just gonna be a voice on a wall.
Which once again, terrifying and all that. Like I like that about the character.
It is somewhat humorous, although it would be obvious to anybody who knows anything about these James Bond movies that the 2 villains that are left were never going to be anything but 1 or 2
Yeah,
for these films.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I
Now, this may cause a pretty good argument.
Well, I'm torn on it myself because I do think if Goldfinger gets multiple movies, it may be impossible not to pick him because I think Goldfinger was that good. But Blofeld is essentially behind every movie except for Goldfinger's. Because he is their boss. He is Dr. No's boss, Largo's boss, Rose's boss. Like, essentially, he's controlling all the criminal activity in almost all the movies.
Yeah, he's kind of shit at it.
Well, I mean, and we've talked about scary. He is the one that's truly scary in all this, and he also has that factor we talked about with Dr. No earlier.
You don't see him. Or
We don't see him from movies.
Yeah, so much buildup, and even when you finally do, all you see is the cat in the hand, and he's just pressing buttons and burning henchmen that fail.
Yes, yeah, killing them.
Like so.
And then the first time we actually do lay eyes on him, and you only live twice, he's also kills the henchman that fails.
Yeah.
And drops him in a piranha pit.
As
So
one does.
so like he's built up like a whole syndicate of top level criminals, and whenever they fail, he kills them.
This is this is an interesting discussion for now, but I have to guess that down the line we'll probably take a look at compiling all of the villains from all of the movies, perhaps, and ranking them, which may cause some changes. But given Blofeld's looming presence over a good chunk of these films, you're absolutely right. It's hard not to say that he's number one, but at the same time, Goldfinger in one movie became very iconic,
Yes.
you know? So I don't know. I'm hard pressed not to give Goldfinger number one.
It is hard. And again, I think I go back to something Tom said. I can't remember if it was on air or off air a couple weeks ago. But, like, how did Goldfinger and Blofeld not cross paths?
Yeah, like all this stuff happening globally and whatnot, and like you even know who James Bond is and all that. How
Yeah.
do you not know who this guy is? Like,
Right.
it was like he's about to destabilize everything like economically in the world, and you're actually trying to hold the world ransom for money and all. Like he's about to like make your currency worth fuckle. It's like,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
it's like you need to get rid of Goldfinger and all that. Like,
Goldfinger's plan was actually pretty awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
You know, it,
It was-
wasn't
it
I'm
was-
going to steal your gold. It was I'm going to ruin your gold.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, which was more
Which makes
feasible.
my gold super, super
Right.
expensive.
Yeah, which was awesome. And I guess since we talked about his death, you know, he's sucked out of the airplane. We may as well talk about Blofeld's death in the coming movie.
deaths.
Is that, I mean, maybe there's more, but I'm aware of, you know, our dear friend Roger Moore dropping him into a smokestack.
But that's
From
the
a
third.
helicopter.
But that's the third time Roger Moore's killed Blofeld.
Well, what were the other? Because then he wasn't really dead then, right?
Right. But is he really dead now?
Well,
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
we all saw him fall into that smokestack.
We all saw him get put in hot lava too.
It
Um,
wasn't that hot.
Get neck broken by a tree and all that too, and all like here's some weird shit. Like
Yeah, that old Telly, you know, injured his neck.
it's,
You know?
So I mean,
Yeah, that's another thing to factor in is that Blofeld was played by multiple people, of course. So it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
well,
been,
which
yes.
one is my preferred Blofeld? You know?
well, I'll just go to as the characters, like I said. But you can't. It seems like you just can't kill this man.
Right.
Like, and
That's also true.
That's why I like it. Like I feel like if he got sucked out of a plane, we'd see him again.
That's. I was getting ready to say that. Like
it'd be
you were
something
able to
and
kill
everything.
Goldfinger in a one-off. Blofeld just keeps coming back for more.
Like he has the pull, and he, like you say, he has the henchmen and the scientific resources globally to
Yes.
hey, like not only can I strike fear into people and kill them, but I can also bring in the best scientists, surgeons, and all that, and like, hey, let's do this and all, like keep me alive.
It makes Goldfinger's plan seem somewhat kind of local, if you will, you know, or small potatoes comparatively.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't
it's
disagree.
it's definitely not catching spaceships and everything. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
he's definitely not meshing with the Ruskies and all that. Like,
Yeah,
so.
that's a fair point. Ray, what are your thoughts on these two characters?
I mean, Blofeld is another puppet master guy, behind the scenes type of thing. But Goldfinger had a badass plan. Let's just fuck some shit up, and that's how it's going to go. You know what I'm saying?
And it was all for greed too. Ultimately, am I misremembering? It was just for his own financial benefit. Of course,
Yeah.
there's power that goes with that.
And not only that,
But-
he had all them mafia guys and fucked all them guys up too.
He killed the
true.
mafia. He was going to
That's pretty badass.
spray.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't. It did. I mean, Bond foiled it, but his poison gas plan was also pretty cool.
Yeah, he was gonna murder
Yeah.
like
The army.
an entire town.
Yeah.
yeah.
Blofeld's the only one who successfully used basically a wonder weapon on Russia and China.
Yeah, the bombs.
Like,
Yes,
Yeah, like he's the only one who's
and
like,
North
hey,
Dakota. Don't forget North Dakota.
Yeah, 'cause nobody cares about Kansas. He even said so. It was like nobody's gonna give a shit. Like it's like it'll be years before they know what they did there. Like, and like I said, the old girl wouldn't have taken the tape and whatnot, and the scientist wouldn't have had to change a heart at the last minute. Like he would have hit DC. Like once again, like I said, like but Goldfinger didn't do anything on that scale, and that was just
Yeah.
one of Blofeld's plans, and it
And-
still got foiled. Like he caused almost nuclear disasters in one large superpower at the time and all that, one rising one, but like pretty much made a mark and everything and scared the world globally.
I mean, yeah, he did. The whole world was terrified at that point. I mean, you just took the three world powers and set off huge bombs in their countries.
Yeah, and he's literally holding them hostage.
Yeah.
For like what, hundreds of millions. Like not even that much. Like I mean at the time, yeah, but like I said, now like literally it's like he is like the caricature Dr. Evil and everything. If he was asking for that same amount nowadays, it's like fucking give it to him. Like
Yeah. I want $100 million. Like,
check,
okay.
like Elon Musk and everything. I'm like, dude, go fuck yourself. Like, just like here, take it. Like, just.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty tough, judging from what you guys are saying, not to put Blofeld at 1. But I do think that if Blofeld had been in one movie, and Goldfinger, of course, was in one, I think we may feel differently.
I agree. I think I said something similar at the beginning.
Yeah. It would depend on which movie with Blofeld.
That's the thing.
That would be the pick.
I think if Blofeld just appeared and You Only Live Twice, like when we first actually saw him, and he just appeared in that movie and that was it, I don't think he'd be that memorable. But there was such a build-up to who Blofeld was for like 4 movies before that.
Yeah. And like you said, like the main guys who, like I said, Dr. No was a puppet master. Everybody, these people had control more or less of their operations, and they were in fear of this man and all that because they knew that they would just be easily killed.
Yeah.
So, I still gotta give like Blofeld number 1, like just because the totality of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, if we're comparing like one-off films, like which film are you comparing? Because like I said, it's just so iconic and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the way he died. I feel like it should have been better than just sucked out a plane, but you get what you get.
I mean, you're making all these movies and Bond kills so many henchmen and villains. Like, they've got to come up with creative ways to do it.
But I was hoping it'd be something that had to do with gold, or like I say, kind of like the chick and all that, or
He
maybe
could have pulled
would have been a better way,
Yeah.
probably.
he could have pulled a Khal Drago from Game of Thrones and melted gold and dumped it over his head.
Or even something with radiation in some capacity, or even the gas and everything. Like all the pieces were there. It's just that I feel like we just took an easy way out, and he got away at the moment, and then he appeared at the last minute when Bond thinks he got away, and it's like, well, now you just out the plane.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Once again, anticlimactica.
Yeah.
All right, so are we in accordance here that we're gonna go with Goldfinger 2 and Blofeld 1?
Yeah,
That's
that's fine. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
All right, so that would be our order for the Connery's 5 villains. Would be at number 5, Emilio Largo. At number 4, Rosa Klebb. At number 3, Dr. No. Number 2, after a close argument, Goldfinger. And at number 1, kind of obvious, I guess, when you really think about it, it's Blofeld.
Yeah.
The main villain in what? I mean, Blofeld is the main villain in what?
18 movies.
A ton of movies, a ton of the Bond films. So I mean, this might be the number 1 villain when we get to the end, and if we ranked them all, he might still be number 1. I don't know that for a fact, obviously, but I think he's got a shot. I mean, you're not gonna shove him way down the list.
Absolutely.
No, but there'd have to be some really big character development within a movie. That like. Yeah, if it, like, 'cause nothing's coming to mind like at the moment, but like later on down the road, like you said, like there may be one to where like, oh, this guy got so much airtime that like you actually almost get attached to that character. So I could see that.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying anything that everybody in the room I don't think already knows. We're gonna see Blofeld again.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm giving anything too big away here, Barry.
No.
Like, we're gonna see Blofeld again. So, and we're gonna see more actors play
Although
Blofeld.
none will ever be as good as Charles Gray as Blofeld.
Charles Gray, is that the one from Diamonds?
Yeah.
No, my favorite is You Only Live Twice. I like that Blofeld.
Oh, Donald Pleasance.
Is that his name? Yeah.
Is that the dude from the Halloween movies?
Yep.
Yeah, I like
he's
that
very
one.
good.
Yeah.
I like Charles Gray just because I loved that Henderson character from You Only Live Twice where he gets stabbed to the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our ranking Connery's Bond's main villains. And there will be more B-sides to come, but we appreciate you tuning in for this one. Tune in for the next one.